Today I've got with me Bridget Davis from Bridget's Healthy Kitchen. I'm so excited to finally meet you, Bridget. You're an internet superstar.
Thank you, Kathy.
So tell me, I mean, we see you cooking all over the place, but you've got quite a backstory. You're a chef by profession, is that correct?
Yeah, I've been a professional chef, fully trained and qualified when I was back in New Zealand back in the 90s. So we're heading into 30 plus years now of cooking in professional kitchens.
Wow. And what sort of chef did you train as? Were you a pastry chef or?
I was a classically trained French chef, and then I moved on and did my apprenticeship in Italian food. So I was surrounded by pasta and pizza and just most amazing provincial Italian cuisine. And so I think I would say that I specialized in things that tasted really, really fabulous, but wasn't that necessarily good for your body.
Right. And you obviously were tasting in the kitchen and not really caring, and you put on a lot of weight. Is that?
Yeah, I put on, and I didn't see it coming. It kind of sneaks up on you. It's not like one day you wake up and you
I know the story.
So I did, and it was pretty solid weight too, because it was years and years of abuse, I would say, to my body, of just not even caring. All I cared about was how good the food tasted, and health was kind of like, I'm young, I'm fine.
Right. So what happened? When did you suddenly decide? You were working at that stage as a chef? You weren't doing internet work, or how did it all come about?
At this, when I suppose I got to the point where I began to take notice of how I had let my physical and my spiritual body go, was that I became very depressed. I was working for myself. I had left the professional commercial kitchen world, and I was working for myself, and had decided that I wanted to write cookbooks. So I was busy writing content, and I was doing quite a lot of jobs, catering sort of style jobs. And I used to be Google's VIP chef. So I was doing lots of work for Google, and they were sending me all over the world. But I just wasn't happy with any of this amazing success that I was getting, including about to publish my very first cookbook. I was sad all the time, and I got to a point that I was so sad that I stopped leaving the house unless I had to go to work. So unless I was actually forced out of the house. And then I stopped leaving my bedroom because I just felt miserable inside myself. I stopped looking in the mirror. I used to get changed with the lights off because I just did not want to look at what I had become. I felt like I was a monster.
So let's just talk about, because there'll be some people watching this that will identify with that. By not leaving your bedroom, you were literally sitting in your bedroom watching TV, or just hiding away?
Hiding away from my family, hiding away from our children. At the time, we had 3 teenagers at home, 3 of our teenagers, plus we were foster parents to a couple of teenage boys as well. And it just got to such a point where I didn't want anyone to see me, because I was so disgusted, really so cruel to myself about how I felt about myself. The last thing that I wanted to do was to spend any time, even with my own husband, even with our kids. So I would only venture out of the room either to have to go to work, or to get food for myself, or to cook for the family. And I wasn't really caring too much about what I was feeding them either. I would just want to get there and get the job done and get out as quickly as possible. And then I would spend all my time in my room either watching trashy TV, or reading on the internet, or working on my book. That was kind of all I did.
So what changed things? What was the aha moment that you thought, well, you were either self-aware, or you saw your doctor?
My publisher contacted me, and the book I think was about to be released in a couple of weeks' time. We'd done all the photographs and all that sort of stuff, and I worked really, really hard on it. And I was very proud of it. And the publisher said to me, "Look, we've got the opportunity for you to go on TV, on national television, and cook. You've got 5 minutes, you're going to cook something from the book. And I was just like, I don't think so. Like, the thought of it paralyzed me. It paralyzed me to such a point that I remember binge eating for 3 days straight, so much food, that I would put so much food into my body. This is all done in the room. Put so much food into my body, I had no choice but to bring it up. So I binged ate to the point of physical exhaustion, because I was so horrified and paralyzed by the thought that I was going to have to go on national television feeling and looking the way that I currently felt and looked. I was so terrified.
So you said, okay, I've got to do something about this, and you knew enough about food and nutrition being a chef. How did you begin?
Well, I thought to myself, okay, so you're going to have to go on TV, and you don't want to look how you currently look, and you don't want to feel how you currently feel, because not only was I sad all the time, but I was also exhausted all the time. I thought I had chronic fatigue, and so I thought, well, I need to get rid of this chronic fatigue. I need to, don't worry about the sadness, didn't really acknowledge that too much, but I need to get rid of this chronic fatigue, otherwise, I'm going to be too exhausted to have to do all the things that I need to do when it comes to the book launch. So I started to look online, because I was spending so much time on my own in my room. I started to, get down on my laptop and do a bit of work. And looking at chronic fatigue and how I could maybe there was a magic pill I could take or something like that. That's what I was thinking. And as I was doing my research, I kept on coming back to this idea about gut health, and about how having a healthy, well-performing, optimized gut can help you with, exhaustion, and can help you lose weight, and it can help your skin. And so I thought, you know what? I've got nothing to lose at this point in time. I think I had a month before I was to appear on TV. I think I had about 28 days or something like that. So I've got 28 days, I've got nothing to lose. I might as well just get into this idea of gut health. And so, being a chef, I just started cooking my own food. And the food at first was pretty bland. And I was like, I'm a chef. I can make this diet stuff, healthy and delicious. So I started to put my little chef flair into things, basic stuff like using really amazing combinations of spices and adding herbs, fresh herbs from the garden and things like this. And I suddenly realized that I was really, really, really enjoying the food, and the weight just started to drop off me, literally. Like, I would come downstairs, to make my food and cook for the family, and my husband would look at me and goes, "Have you lost weight?" And then I'll be like, "Yeah, actually, I think I have." And then I'll come down a couple of days later and be like, "Have you lost more weight?" So it literally began to drop off me, and my goal was to lose 10 kilos by the time I went on TV.
28 days.
Yeah, I actually lost 12.
Wow.
I lost 12, yeah, because I overhauled my diet. I didn't just go, oh, I'm just going to, give it a bit of a whirl. I was like, I want to lose 10 kilos before I go on TV in 30 days. That was my goal in mind. And so because I had a goal, I had something to push towards. And because I was enjoying the food, like, the food was delicious. I did not feel like I was on a diet. I was just eating delicious food, and the results were speaking for themselves. So much so that within that 28-day period, and I got rid of all the sugar, completely cut the sugar. And I'm not a sugar addict, but I was addicted to sugar because sugar is in so many processed foods. So I got rid of all the processed foods. I literally went into the cupboards and stripped them back. And I made a point of cooking everything myself and not relying on food manufacturers to do the cooking for me. So I got rid of the sugar. I got rid of a lot of the carbs. So I'm talking about simple carbohydrates like anything with white flour in it. Anything, I used to eat a lot of rice. I used to eat a lot of potatoes. So things like that were just simple, that would easily get converted into glucose in my body. So I got rid of all of that. I got rid of the gluten from my diet and found out that I was actually gluten intolerant. I did not know this. I was like, why do I feel so good? Why don't I have any more bloating? Why am I happier now? So I got rid of the gluten, and I also seriously cut back on commercial dairy. So, stopped putting milk in my tea, and I stopped eating yogurt, and I stopped eating just commercial cheese and, all that sort of stuff. And it was such a transformation within this 28-day period of when I needed to appear on TV, that I decided I was going to wear my chef's jacket, and I had lost so much weight that I drowned in my chef's jacket, and you couldn't even tell that I had lost all this weight because I had this huge chef's jacket on that I would normally wear, but I didn't care because I felt so good. You know, I was just like, oh, well, I still look like I'm, you know, quite a big, like a lot bigger than all this weight that I had lost. But I just didn't care. I was on top of the world. I felt amazing.
So just to help people understand, because if somebody's really struggling at the moment, and the two things doctors all say to you, what can you do about your health? Start and exercise. And I know you didn't necessarily do exercise, which is a bit naughty, but anyway, what sort of things were you eating then when you were, you know, you got rid of all those things? What would you have for breakfast, for example?
Well, the research that I had done kept on coming back to that exercise is important, but 90% of improvement of your gut health and your weight or your health in general is 90% diet. So I focused on the diet, having my finite about it. You know, I had this limited amount of time, so I focused on the 90% and went, right, I'm going to make the biggest impact if I do the 90%. So I've always been an active person. So I wasn't going to the gym or anything like that, but I regularly paddle on the ocean. I've got a kayak and I regularly paddle, and I'm quite an active person anyway. So how I transformed my diet is I would always wake up in the morning and have toast and cereal, and not knowing that that was doing just the most, you know, incredible damage to my gut, but also to my hormones at the same time. So I began to understand how important it is to regulate your hormones when it comes to food. And no matter what you eat, there's going to be a hormonal response to what you eat. So I would eat foods that wouldn't trigger my insulin levels. And they were the low carb foods. So rather than having cereal and toast for breakfast, which was kind of comforting, I would start my day with a good quality lean protein. Like I would literally start my day. I used to make up chicken Scotch eggs. So I'd have a semi hard-boiled egg that I would then wrap in this really delicious chicken mince, which had fresh herbs through it and garlic and ginger. And then I would cook that in my air fryer. So it was like a Scotch egg, but not deep fried, and really, really healthy and full of good quality protein, good quality fat. And that would keep me feeling full and satisfied right up to lunchtime. Whereas before, I would always notice after my cereal and my toast in the morning, come to about 10 o'clock, I was like grumble, grumble, grumble. But having this protein sustained me so much longer, I didn't even think about food until maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it was a complete reverse change of how I thought about food. My relationship with food changed as well as I began to see food not just as something to satisfy my soul, even though it was doing great damage to me. I was looking at food as something that would satisfy my body as well. So it would give my body the required nutrients it needed to power through my day. Because, you know, I was looking at it as if I had chronic fatigue. I didn't have chronic fatigue. I just had a really, really, really dirty gut and a really bad diet. And once I, looked at all those things, everything else started to fall into place. And the main thing for me that I felt that fell into place was I got my confidence back. There's no way I'll be doing this with you now, Kathy, 3 years ago. Absolutely no way. I would have had every excuse under the sun to not do it, rather than say, yeah, let's do it. Let's have a chat. Let's see if we can talk about all these experiences. And I'm a completely different person. And 90% of that completely different person is because I'm very conscious about the food that I put into my body now.
So as a chef, though, you're used to cooking and taking time. And there are many people that don't have the time, nor do they enjoy that fiddling. So they'll throw things together pretty quickly. And often that's a bad choice. Are your recipes really simple? Are they sort of fast?
Yeah, because I'm busy. I don't have time as well. When we had 5 teenagers at home, plus I was running a business, I was still working sort of 60 to 80 hours a week. So I've never had time. It would be amazing if we could all spend a couple hours every day, doing the things that we love. And for me, that is cooking, but I just don't have that time. So the recipes, when I designed them for myself initially, I designed them, they had to be quick. they had to be simple. So not 100 different ingredients to make one dish, but say 4, 5, or 6 things that I've always had in my fridge that I could then almost put like onto a little bit of a circuit on how I would cook. So I could change out a couple of things and make a completely different dish. And I think that's why the success of my recipes, because once I made them for myself, then my husband was watching me lose all this weight. And he was like, I want to do that too. And he could not believe, he felt like he got his wife back. Like I was a new person. And so he's like, I want to do that too. So he joined me on this journey that I had started. He joined me on the journey, and within 30 days, he had lost 15 kilos just by eating the food that I was cooking. And we're like, there's something in this. I think I should start sharing these recipes because they're so quick and easy and they're so delicious. And look at these results that we're having. And so I just started to share them online on Facebook, like thinking, well, maybe one person might really appreciate this recipe because I find it really delicious. It's really helped me. Maybe it might help someone else. And I shared this one recipe, and I was like, you know what? If you'd like a recipe, let me know, and I'll send you a PDF. Thinking that I might get 4 or 5 people who might like a copy of the recipe. I got, I think, 600 people requested the document.
That was the first time.
The first time, and I was doing it manually, sending it to their messenger on Facebook, and I was manually going through and sending all these people.
Yeah.
And it just went ridiculous. And so I was like, okay, they like that one, so I'll share this one that I've made and did. And it started like that. And within I would say maybe about a month, we were sharing thousands, the recipe to thousands of people. And because what people were loving was that it was so simple to do. And people who don't normally cook, and for a lot of people that follow me, I constantly get these messages from people saying, I hate cooking. That's why I'm in the state I'm in. But you have helped me to realize not just the importance, but you're making it fun. It doesn't feel like a drag, and I'm getting my husband involved, and I'm getting my grandkids involved. So there was almost like, wanting people like to come back into the kitchen, because it's just such an important place. We can do so much when we take back control of our diet. And for me, saying I'm too busy is not, I can't say that anymore, because if I don't make time for my health, I'm going to have to make time for my illness.
Well, yeah,
and
that's well known.
to do that. And this is the philosophy that I have for our audience.
Yeah.
So we have to make time. Saying don't have time is not an option.
So does that help? Do you help share people shopping lists so that they can have the ingredients sitting in their pantry cupboard?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I've written meal plans for people. So I have some really popular meal plans that people do that include all the shopping lists, all the prep lists. I've made videos on how they can prep to make it faster and more efficient. And the meal plans are not like you have to cook the entire week's worth of meals. You have your foundation sauces already done, your ginger chopped up, your garlic chopped up. So you're never more than 10 minutes away from something delicious and something fabulous.
Oh my goodness. So let's just talk about Facebook. So that's your main community. Is that how you connect with your tribe as such?
Yeah, we have an amazing page on Facebook, which is Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, is where I share all the new recipes, and I try and put out 2 to 3 new recipes a week, so people stay inspired. Because for some people, one recipe may not be their thing, and then a couple of days later they go, oh, but that's my thing, and they'll download the PDF and they'll get into the kitchen. So I share recipes on there. I do live cooking classes on Facebook 2 to 3 times a week. This week's actually 4. I've got 4 live cooking classes this week. But that page is sort of like the public facing page. And what we discovered was that people wanted a place to go where they could feel like they were part of a community. So we developed a little side shoot to the main page, which is where the community all go and support each other. And it is a fabulous place for everyone that I've noticed. There's just, people supporting each other and helping each other, and this is where you buy this product, and this is where you can find this, and this is this recipe, and have you tried this? Or just congratulating each other when they have a little win, something that makes them feel good. So the community is the strongest part of everything that we've done. And we still have Instagram, we have Pinterest, and we have YouTube, but there is something about this community on Facebook that it's very, very powerful way to, you know, for people to communicate with each other.
So do you want to give a plug where they find you? Where do they go to?
So if you go to Bridget's Healthy Kitchen on Facebook, which is our public page, which is where you'll see all the videos and all the recipes. But if you want to join the support group, as you go through this journey of eating well and eating delicious, then it's Bridget's Healthy Kitchen family. And we do call ourselves a family because we want to, you know, be there to help and to nurture each other.
Wow. And I've got to ask, if you're doing so many new recipes and cooking classes, how long does it take you to design a recipe? Because, you know, there's intellectual property involved in all your experience and what you're developing. Is it a lengthy process?
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of testing involved. There's also a lot of research involved as well. I'm studying to be a nutritionalist, so I want to make sure that the information I'm giving people is evidence-based as well. So rather than just, I feel, but this is backed up by science. So there is a lot of energy that goes into it. And this is pretty much my full-time occupation now, is I create content. I create recipes. Those recipes, if I really like them, they'll turn into a cooking class. Not if I really like them, but if I think it's something that the audience are going to be able to latch onto and really, really enjoy. But the process, depending on what the recipe is and how in depth it is, could take me all day to test a recipe. I mean, that's after I've gone shopping for the food, I've conceptualized it, and then I'll test it. Maybe I'll test it 2 or 3 times, maybe even more if I don't get it right. And then it will go into the next stage, which is writing out the recipe and taking the photos. So there is quite a lengthy process, but I can't imagine doing anything else. It feels right and it feels good. And I get to taste all these delicious creations, and so do our kids, and so does my husband. So, you know, it's we are definitely a food-based family. That's all we think about, but now we think about healthy food. And now we enjoy healthy food, so it's pretty fabulous.
I can't wait to go away and try some of the recipes now. You've got me so motivated. So what do you do for your own self-care? I mean, you obviously eat well. Do you meditate or walk,
yes.
or what do you do?
I do all of the above. So I have what I call my hour of power in the morning. So I don't start my day looking at social media. I don't answer my emails. I don't do any of that. I start my morning with a meditation. I try to get in an hour if I can of meditation. I also do journal writing. I believe in just literally letting the thoughts just flow out onto the paper, and you know, seeing what comes back to me. I also enjoy the simple things, like I love to sit out in the sun in our courtyard and pet my cat. For me, that is the most amazing self-care. You know, just to spend time with this beautiful creature who's just being a cat. He's happy to be a cat, and I'm happy to be there petting him. I love taking hot baths, you know, and really relaxing in baths. And I do try to get in as much sleep as possible. For me, sleep is a cornerstone of my health, and not just enough sleep, but quality sleep. So I have these different pillars of health. Diet is one of them. Movement is another one of them. Sleep is another one, but also just being kind to myself and making sure that I get that stillness that's required, rather than just going crazy from the moment you wake up, and actually being still and enjoying that stillness, enjoying my own company. So yeah, I've got lots of different ways. Even a couple glasses of red wine at the end of the night is another great healthy way to get that bit of self-care and self-love as well.
So is there any chance you can do a quick demonstration and cook us something? Would that be okay?
I would love to. It would be my pleasure. In fact, I've actually prepared something in advance, hoping you would ask me if I could just whip something up really quickly. So I'll move my chair out of the way so I don't fall down. But what I thought I would do today, Kathy, for you, I wish I could hang them through the screen to you as well, is I thought I would prepare something very, very simple, extremely healthy, gluten-free, sugar-free, dairy-free. But I'm actually going to be producing some little mini Lamingtons today. They are no bake. And normally we think of Lamingtons as being a sponge cake that we then dip in chocolate and then we roll in coconut. But my Lamingtons, I call them Lady Lamingtons because it sounds quite posh and
Gracious.
fancy. Lady, yeah, very gracious. Lady Lamingtons are they're a gluten-free, sugar-free, dairy-free option. In fact, they can even be vegan-friendly as well. So they're quick to make, and they're that little treat, you know, that little decadent treat. This for me is self-care as well, is that I can now know that I can create something and cook something really easy that feels like the most naughtiest treat, but it's actually doing wonders for my gut health. You know, it's helping me to stay in fat burning mode, all these little wonderful things that we want, and it's really good for our brain health as well. So would you like to join me down?
Yeah, absolutely. Show us.
All right, come on down. So,
Oh, wow.
yes, ready to go. I'm going to go directly into my little mini food processor here, because as I was saying, it's really, really easy to make these little Lady Lamingtons, and they come out looking like little gorgeous balls of chocolate. So they're quite fabulous. So the first ingredient we're going to use, I've got 120 grams of almond flour here. So just the plain almond flour. You can buy it from Aldi, you can buy it from Coles or Woolies. And this is going to be, instead of having obviously normal white flour. So 120 grams, I'm going to put it straight into my food processor. If you don't have a little food processor, you can do this by hand as well. But I love it when things are quick. So for me, this saves me so much time. I chop my ginger in here, my garlic, so I don't have to do any of that sort of stuff. And then I can make Lady Lamingtons as well. So next ingredient, I have 40 grams of desiccated coconut, unsweetened of course. And I have to say that because I wasn't all traveling I was in the US and I went to buy some coconut from the supermarket. And I brought it home and I was like, wow, that's like the sweetest coconut I've ever tried. And then I looked at the packet, had lots of sugar in the coconut. So I just say that just in case someone's doing this recipe from somewhere where they put sugar in coconut. So unsweetened coconut, as well as that, just a little pinch of salt goes in there as well. That's just going to help to balance out the flavors, which is nice. And because we're making sort of this mock or this faux sponge, I'm going to be adding in some pure vanilla extract. 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla goes in there. We want to bring this all together. I'm going to be doing that with a little bit of extra virgin coconut oil. Amazing, healthy fat. This is the sort of stuff that feeds our brain as well as our body. So don't need too much of it though. We're only going to put in 10 grams of, and it's kind of semi-soft. It's not hard, it's semi-soft. You can have it melted, but if it's too hard, you might just want to let it melt just a little bit, just so it can work through the mixture here. So 10 grams of that goes in. And the last ingredient I'm going to be using is called fiber syrup. So it is a healthy alternative to other types of sugary syrups that can increase our insulin response. Remember, I like to create foods that give you a really low insulin response so they don't spike your blood glucose. Otherwise, you. So
where do you buy that?
So, well, believe it or not, I actually stock this, but if you don't live in Australia, it's a little bit hard to get hold of. So I call it sweet as fiber syrup. And it is a prebiotic, so it's good for the gut health. It actually feeds the gut bacteria. It is sweet like candy floss, like fairy floss. That's what it tastes like, but it will not spike your insulin response. An alternative to this, if you can't find fiber syrup, is you could use a really good quality honey. But just be aware that honey does raise your insulin levels, especially for people who are insulin resistant. It's something they do like to watch out for. Fiber syrup doesn't do any of that. Really low calories, tastes like candy floss. And I'm going to put 60 grams of this fiber syrup, go straight into the mix. And that's going to bring everything together, hold it together, but it's also going to give it a bit of a sweetness, which is obviously what we need when we're making sponge. So I'm going to put the lid on my little machine, give it a bit of a whiz. And the consistency that I'm looking for is that it's a little bit crumbly. You can see it's a bit crumbly there, but when I touch it with clean hands, of course, lovely clean hands, when I pull it together, I'm able to squish it and create these wonderful little balls, which is what we want. These wonderful little balls here, because remember, these are Lady Lamingtons, they're going to be Lamington balls, and you're probably looking at about 20 grams per ball. Each one, that will give you about a dozen of your own little Lady Lamingtons. You saw how quick that was to make. The only thing that we need to do now, there's only a couple more steps now that we've got the balls rolled, just like that. And I like to sort of pick it up with my fingers, about 20 grams each for about half a tablespoon of mixture, and then put it into the palm of my hand and using the other top of my palm, just gently roll them together so we get a really nice consistent ball. I'll just do one more and then we will put them into the chocolate, which I have to say is my favorite part. Chocolate is my favorite part. Like I said, I don't have a sweet tooth, but there's something about chocolate. And when you are able to get hold of a chocolate, which is what I have here in my little bowl here that's been melting away, you can see that. My chocolate is gluten-free, my chocolate is sugar-free, and my chocolate is actually dairy-free. This is a vegan chocolate that I have, that I buy online. So if anyone wants to find their own healthy alternative to normal chocolate chips, you can just do a Google search for vegan chocolate and have it delivered to your door, which is what I do, and it comes in chocolate chips. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And it's a nice dark chocolate, as you can see as well. So what I did was I put the chocolate, about 100 grams of the chocolate went into the little bowl here. And you can see I've got a little pot of just, the water was just simmering. And then I just left that there to melt through, just like that. Oh, chocolate heaven. Chocolate heaven. In fact, I make my own vegan chocolate. I have in one of my latest cookbook, Eat Your Way Slim and Healthy, I actually have a recipe that you can make your own vegan chocolate. It takes 3 ingredients. You can make your own dark chocolate like this. It's crazy. All right, so once we're at that stage and we've got this wonderful melt on, as you can see, and it's liquid, I could stand here and do that for a long time. It's very therapeutic.
Yeah, it is actually.
So then we're going to take 2 spoons, because what we want to do is we want to drop the balls, these little guys here, into the chocolate and coat them in chocolate so that we can then put them through the desiccated coconut. So I'm going to take one up, put it onto my spoon, and then using the 2 spoons as a bit of a guide, I'm just going to mix it all around till it's completely covered in chocolate. And then in this bowl, I have another 20 grams of desiccated coconut, unsweetened, of course. We just drop that in there and just give it a little bit of a twist, bit of a shake, and that's all there is to it. I then put them on my wire rack. Yep, put them on a wire rack, and they go nice and hard. So these little, I'll show you. I'll give you a little close up. Well, I've got chocolate all over the bench. So these little guys, they'll probably take about 15 minutes to harden. You can speed up the hardening process if you pop them in the fridge for 5 minutes, but they will last in your fridge for a good week. So I constantly have, and I'll come back up here now, I've done the cooking. I constantly have little treats like this, simple treats like this in my fridge for when I get that, like, need something sweet. And then I go for something like this because it's so incredibly good for us. And it tastes like a Lamington. The texture is phenomenal. You bite into it and you're like, are you sure that's healthy? Which is perfect. Perfect.
So just to wrap, because I know we're short on time, is because they're so tasty, does that help with portion size? Because people are satisfied, they're not always going back for seconds and thirds, which is a real problem. Yeah,
and the other important thing to be really mindful of when it comes to things like this is that when you have healthy fats in there, which is our almond meal, obviously it's good, really good quality chocolate, and there's coconut in there, those healthy fats help to keep us feeling satiated. So we don't feel the need to go back and go back. Whereas processed treats, comfort food, they don't give us any satisfaction. 10 minutes after we've eaten them, our body's like, okay, I need some more now. And one of the reasons that happens is because when our insulin response is spiked by eating high carb, high sugar, high flour, gluten foods, our insulin response spikes. And our body goes, okay, that's cool. And then we go crashing back down and our body goes, no, that's not cool. Take me back up there. Whereas when you eat something that has good, healthy fats in it, you don't go up as high, you just stay on this lovely, lovely, lovely ride, as opposed to highs and lows, which we get from, sadly, processed, high carb, high fat, high sugar foods.
Well, I've got to say thank you. It is Mental Health Month as well. So how appropriate we're talking about good food, healthy gut, looking after your mental wellness and self-care. Let's talk again, Bridget. I really enjoyed this chat. And thanks so much.
Yeah, I'm sending you virtual Lamingtons.
Yeah, we're all going to eat them. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.